mari itu para itu dia untuk campur dengan itu kita esok dalam atau tanggal daya aku jadi ingat satu teman atau dia main gaya atau orang masuk suara lagi. If you are expecting a presentation, then you're probably in the wrong conference room. Because I was just asked by the Chief Justice to help out by appearing this morning and saying something about the role of the media in the courts, as he's not available. So I formally first convey his apologies, because he did, I think, commit to be a speaker, a keynote speaker this morning. But he's not able to make it, and has passed the ball to me, and also, as Langi has indicated, to our senior judge of the district court, Talasa, to come down. And I see from the program you wanted him to talk about the reality of violence against women and girls, and then I see from the sign out there, it's a workshop on reporting on violence against women and girls. So perhaps what I was thinking of doing ties in with what you had in mind, and that was to talk about, I received a copy of your, I don't know if it's a new guideline document or whether it's a proposed guideline document or whether it's an old guideline document. I printed it off what you were saying. But it's the document that talks about the court system and various courts and the role of the media in the courts and what you can report on and what you can't report on. So I think this is your guideline. Let me take
for reporting in court.
Reporting in court. So I think what I've had a look at that, and I would like to make some comments about that, and I think that will tie in with what you had in mind about reporting on the case. And that's why we try to have procedures. If so that's why we have procedures sometimes where we say the young girl can give evidence from a different room, so that she doesn't have to face, the father or the stepfather who did it. I mean, for young children, it's particularly hard for young children. It's bad enough for adults, but for young kids, it's very bad. And that's why we have those procedures. And that's why we ask the media details that can identify her need to be suppressed. Because if you don't suppress it, what will happen is, and we are all people who live in small communities in this country, we know what happens. This poor person is already the talk of the household, of the family, of the village, sometimes more than one village. They all know what's happened to her. And, young kids will tease her, old people will make fun of her. I mean, it's a terrible experience. But I'm just setting the scene. And I think it's important that when you're dealing with reporting about cases involving victims, you always try and bear that in mind, because that's what we do. We're trained to keep that in mind all the time. And that is sometimes when the lawyer gets too aggressive in his questioning, the judge will intervene. And the judge it's not trying to help the victim. It's trying to be fair to the victim and be fair to the accused person. But that's why we have these special rules and special procedures for dealing with victims. The other thing I would add is, I think the press generally, and I mentioned this to London a week or so ago, I think the press generally in this country are very good at supporting the work of the court, and are very good at, I don't know of any case where more issue for disobedience, or suppression order, or for publishing the identity of anyone. So I congratulate you that you know, respect the boundaries that are set by the court in relation to suppression of details like identification and all of the and I think the press do a really good job, I'm sure. Jalasa will agree. I know you all complain about not being able to publish more than that, and particularly in the family violence court and the family court, where by law everything is required to be suppressed. But I'll let Jalasa speak to that shortly. But you know, we too follow the law, and the law says that in that court, those proceedings are private and confidential. And there really is very little public interest, in my view, in covering I mean, what's the public interest in knowing about that other than the faaiuga? And you know, and there's a lot of it in social media. I don't have to tell you how these things all end up in social media. But having said that, very quickly, let me just go through your guidelines and just make a couple of comments about the guidelines that you have. The first issue I think you need to add to your guidelines is under the Supreme Court 2.2, where you've got there that hearings are open to the public unless otherwise ordered by the court. And then you quite correctly say that the court allows the exclusion of the media from all parts of the trial in the interests of morals, public order, or national security, or where the interests of juveniles or protection of private life is required. What you're missing there, and this is a very important part, is the last part of Article 9, which talks about publicity that would be prejudicial in the interests of justice. That's a very important part. That's another area where the court will restrict publication. And the example is what we did with the faaiuga case, case, where I ordered suppression of all the evidence because there was still one guy who hadn't been tried. And now he's here, and now next year they'll proceed with the trial. But the reason why I ordered suppression of all the evidence in the case of faaiuga is because all that evidence is going to have to be dealt with in the case of the untried guy. Now that order was made under that provision, the suppression of publication because it would prejudice the interests of justice. And that's a very, very important one. It really is. And I'll give you a current example. Current example is how not only the media, but social media is going on and on and on about this Waitele hit and run case. It's everywhere. It's in the Observer every day. It's all over social media. And I want you to actually ask yourselves the question as journalists. What's going to happen when they finally charge someone? Maybe they'll never be able to solve it. Maybe they'll never be able to charge anybody. But what happens if they find someone and they charge him, and all this publicity is now out there? How are we going to get this person a fair trial? We'll have to send him to Siberia or something, where no division of the judge. The judge has an overall legal power to allow recordings to be carried out in court. But if you don't have that permission, you can't just come to court and record what's going on. That's a no-no. So that part you need to qualify to read that it may use an audio recording device with the prior permission of the presiding judge. Not the Makanaluena, not the Leskalan, the presiding judge, and not just any judge, the presiding judge of the day has to give the permission. And again, the purpose of that is not trying to hide anything. It's a matter of there's one official record, and the official record is what is typed up by the girls every day after the court. They transcribe everything that's said. That's the official record. And that's what's used to reflect what happened in court. So that's one area of your guideline that I also wanted to highlight, that you may need to make that exception clear, because it's very important. I remember, I can't remember the actual case, but it was a case where a policeman came to me and said that somebody was using their phone to record what was going on in court. And I stopped the trial and ordered the orderlies to take him outside and remove his phone. And if he wants to come back in, they can hang on to his phone. And when it's finished, give him back his phone. And not a member of the media, it's a member of the public. And that, you know, the permission to record is permission that can be given by the judge to the media. For a member of the public, it's a different ballgame. The same rule applies. If a member of the public wants to record, whether it's on the phone or visual on one of these things, they have to ask permission of the presiding judge. So the same rules apply to everyone. But it's more likely that it's the media. Can we record your judgment? It's fine. Most judges don't have an issue with that. I don't. And the only thing is sometimes it's good to get the official transcript, because then you don't have the judges' stupid spelling mistakes and things like that. You know, it's all a nice, tidy piece of paper that you get. But that was the last thing I wanted to mention, and congratulate you again for the guidelines. I think these are great guidelines, and I think they will serve you well. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on the guidelines, on court reporting, or anything else. This is your charge.
I think with some of the issues that we raised from our court guideline, because I was involved in trying to make up the guideline, because it's a funded project. Sa guideline the judiciary. It took us 1 year. Because they say they allow the media to record. So they allow them to the presiding judge, which is the because since we launched the guide, knowingly according to the guide that we have. And record the members of the public. Our five levels, they will come on guide. A year have to call the courtroom for the media. But since we launched the guide, the media registrar. Ava pengila e complement se na misel mo Supreme Court aquele case que dela e mo que fica bom. O mako o leisa mo. O mako foi ele ele o famor mo. They are supporters of these people in Moria. I allow the media now, the media to come away and go. I'll remember from the marriage. I will remember what you want to do. What is your more court? If I come and go in, I'm going to find a court. And then I didn't go to what Fakule, and they all put a court on this government for the single bullet court. I pay a Kulanga and I did it. I'm not about one. I like to find a kind. On my first straight television, putting my phone. Or put a share of a moment of the I'll put a away there. He'll record it. Or whatever you come with a guide, Remokio, Kuromako, Power May, the famous Sierra America, the Kama, Pakulumako ID of Mako reporters. In Ohulani, Romanis, Kala, reporters America. Remember that little fire guy. Yamamo and Mufoli Media Court. Afapela, when the Asian Media Court, I look forward. Yeah, on Fafa Kamane, or the Shima, or public move on. But on the Kawape, don't like to for whatever I know my court. We have to wait by night, look at our body, I'll go down of your money. The Vanilla PC by the suppression. Well, the Shima, the PC by. Yeah, Papa, quarter draft, also okay. Yeah, Makapero, happy human parties there involved. Yeah. Don't you not remember, Lodge?
Yes. Okay, well, I can't speak for the Aladdin because I've never seen this before. But then I've done a lot of traveling, so.
Yeah.
But for Umamakai, yes. So then I think if the press has a problem with anything in the court, come straight to me. Okay? Even if it's with one of the judges and you have a complaint about what's allowed and not being allowed, you bring it to me. Okay? So this is now your point of contact. A senior Supreme Court judge. That should be one of my responsibilities. The second thing I'm going to guarantee to you is that we will, in my court, I always tell them, and they have promised to put a sign in every court, press bench. So I'm going to reinforce that and talk to the ministry so that maybe next year when the court opens again, you'll come in and every courtroom should have a sign in here for. And you usually sit, depending on where the witness box and but it's one of the two front benches.
Yeah.
You can be a sign. It's very important. It's very important. But you have to do your part. You have to bring your badges.
Yes.
You can't walk in like this with no badge. If you walk in with no badge, then you get stopped. Or you won't get any help from me. I'll say, I told you so. But I'm telling you now. So don't come and say, oh, not on that funny. Sorry. Not on like a badge. So your part is to come with your badges. Our part, to make sure that the front two benches is reserved for the president. And they say like mentions.
Yes.
And then also the big trials when you get by the court. So yeah, that's fine. But as I said, in future you have issues with court reporting and press. You bring it straight to me through my okay. But yes, I can't speak for why that part about the reporting was missed out. But even though a lot of judges don't worry about it, I mean, I don't worry about it. You want to record what I say, that's fine. I stand by the words I use. Some judges don't like it because some judges, they have sentencing notes which are just scribble things, which because like in the district court, it's to do 6 or 7 a day. You don't have time to sit down and type it all out. Because next day you have to do another 6 or 7. And the day after that, you have to, and in between you have to hear trials. So a lot of them just scribble notes. I mean, that's what I used to do in the district court, because we'll get cases. And sometimes the English is not very good. Because you're thinking as you go along and trying to, formulate your thoughts, and it comes out sometimes not a little bit weird. So some judges prefer, when they get the transcript, where there should be a "la" and an "ah," they make those kinds of corrections, which is fine. Nobody has an issue with that. But some of them, because of that, they don't really like to be recorded. So, I mean, and we have to, it's a give and take relationship. If I have generally judges, when the conduct of the case is different, because during the trial, the judge will say a lot of things to the lawyers that can be misunderstood by the press and the public, because then they think, or they will draw conclusions from it. Whereas the judge is asking questions with a plan and a purpose in mind. So the trial is very different. But the faaiuga, money sentence, that's no big issue. But the actual trial is a different beast altogether. You know, it's like your 6 rounds in the ring. All you really want is to fight, but how you get there.
Por isso que eu não filmo, ele cai. Ele faz o filme, faz o filme. But we were told, after esse case for that, big case for that, mafai naman kung kausana ko the society judge, bakule consider the recency bakul makuha ng mga original film. Is that right?
Yes. Well, I think that's in your.
Yes.
It's what
I just want to confirm because
yes.
Yes, is yung mga practicing na ask for the old cases like the making cases of well, the cases you may interest in the film.
Well, what's in your guideline is correct. I don't have an issue with what's in your guideline. If you want to do that, about the class,
I just want to add on what we did practice that. We did apply any case on my apply for filming. They never got back to us. But on my application, I have like ACO. So I did the application. If I am on case, we never got into this part, whether they Kalia or the Kalia or something.
Well, as I've indicated now, your contact point is me. So if you do that to the ACO, copy me and let him see. Will I copy up?
Yeah.
Because then he will. Because if he doesn't, then I'll ask him, what's the problem?
Listen, I don't know if I someone reporting before the inquest or before the trial. There were times when the information may know, and the information from the responses are very detailed. Sometimes we just saw what we report, and that's where we report from. So how does the court see that?
Well, your report should be prefaced according to the police. The police say this, because that's what you're reporting. You don't report it as a fact. You report it as a statement made by the police. Now that is accurate. You have to be accurate. You know, you are in the business of words. So are we. And we have to make sure our words are accurate. And I think the press have a responsibility to make sure their words are accurate. So if you are reporting what the police say, you should say that. Also, it's for your own protection that you are reporting what the police say, not what you think. It's what you think as a result of what the police say is different. But you don't report that. You're reporting what the police say. And, you know, whoever, it's not necessarily the police. And I think it's a general rule, you guys do that. But it's not according to the police, but it's like stated as a fact. I mean, that's how you get defamation. That's why how you get sued for defamation. Because people will then look at it and say, O kakare o kung amay. Problema ang fasa. You know, and then defamation cases suddenly become an issue.
Proceedings, investigations, and collection of evidence, the influence of the social media, especially with reference to the nature of this training, and how we can best practice the guidelines and the tools. We see what cameras, best practices in reporting violence against women and girls, and we've seen a lot of those on social media. And also the second one, as you alluded to, with the recent case of I'm interested in your valuable contribution on how we can best publicize as the media, how we can best publicize the fact that this social media, it's uncontrollable. Every Samoan has got their hands on any device and can, if I have access to it's open. Internet's very dangerous, and it's open to anyone to have access, whether it's proven or not. So I'm interested in your contribution as the most senior judge in that to know, and how we can best publicize that, and on speaking from as a government broadcaster, how we can best put that in practice. And there's no better place to come than the court.
So publicize, what exactly are you? Yeah. Look, social media is, it seems like it's been with us forever. And in a sense it has been. It used to be known as the Wahisi Mosoi.
Yeah.
That was social media.
Yeah.
What's happening now is just it's in an electronic and more accessible form. Social media is a peculiar creature. It has its own rules, and some people would say, well, it has no rules. That's the problem. Anybody can post anything on social media. You can say anything on social media. You can be a keyboard warrior on social media. You can use an alias on social media and make any kind of thing, however outrageous it is. I think the first questions with a plan and a purpose in mind. So the trial is very different. But the faaiuga, one sentence. That's no big issue. But the actual trial is a different beast altogether. It's like your 6 rounds in the ring. All you really want is to fight, but how you get there.
What is even a film? A little kite. Well, they fight a film. Fight a film. But we were told after a case for that, big case for that. Mafaina mako kausanga kule society judge. La bakule consider the recency about the film. Is that right?
Yes. Well, I think that's in your.
Yes.
That's what's in
I just
your
want to
guideline.
confirm because
Yes.
practicing were asked for their own applications like the cases of the why the cases more interested in the film.
Yeah. Well, what's in your guideline is correct. I don't have an issue with what's in your guideline. If you want to do that,
I just want to add on what we did practice that. We did apply any case on my apply for confirming. They never got back to us. But on my application, I have Samoa, like ACO. So I did the application. If I have one case, we never got into this part, whether they Kalia or they Kalia or something.
Well, as I've indicated now, your contact point is me. So if you do that to the ACO, copy me and let him see. All right, copy up.
Yeah.
Because then he will. Because if he doesn't, then I'll ask him, what's the problem?
Reporting before the inquest or before the trial. There were times where the information may know, and the information from the police officers are very detailed. Sometimes you just saw up with report, and that's where we report from. So how does the police that?
Well, your report should be prefaced according to the police. The police say this, because that's what you're reporting. You don't report it as a fact. You report it as a statement made by the police. Now that is accurate. You have to be accurate. You know, you are in the business of words. So are we. And we have to make sure our words are accurate. And I think the press have a responsibility to make sure their words are accurate. So if you're reporting what the police say, you should say that. Also, it's for your own protection that you are reporting what the police say, not what you think. It's what you think as a result of what the police say is different. But you don't report that. You're reporting what the police say. And, you know, whoever, it's not necessarily police. And I think it's a general rule, you guys do that. But it's not according to the police, but it's like stated as a fact. I mean, that's how you get defamation. That's why how you get sued for defamation. Because people will then look at it and say, you know, and then defamation cases suddenly become an issue.
Proceedings, investigations, and collection of evidence, the influence of social media, especially with reference to the nature of this training, and how we can best practice the guidelines and the tools. We see what cameras, best practices in reporting violence against women and girls, and we've seen a lot of those on social media. And also the second one, as you alluded to, with the recent case of I'm interested in your valuable contribution on how we can best publicize as the media, how we can best publicize the fact that this social media, it's uncontrollable. Every Samoan has got their hands on any device and can, if I have access to make it's open. Internet's very dangerous, and it's open to anyone to have access, whether it's proven or not. So I'm interested in your contribution as the most senior judge in that to know, and how we can best publicize that, and on speaking from as a government broadcaster, how we can best put that in practice. And there's no better place to come than the court.
So publicize, what exactly are you? Yeah. Look, social media is, it seems like it's been with us forever. And in a sense it has been. It used to be known as the Wahisi Mosoi.
Yeah.
That was social media.
Yeah.
What's happening now is just it's in an electronic and more accessible form. But social media is a peculiar creature. It has its own rules. And some people would say, well, it has no rules. That's the problem. Anybody can post anything on social media, You can say anything on social media. You can be a keyboard warrior on social media. You can use an alias on social media and make any kind of thing, however outrageous it is. I think the first
so many years I never really understand the poliani mafua ang trasa ile saying mami magkiwa. I know I just never understood.
Yeah. Well, when I first became a judge, it was the practice of I think for the practical reason for Mantioca, for sunglasses, is that if you are a witness, or even if you are a defendant, the judge wants to see how you react to what's going on in court, how you react to the defendant, how you react to the witnesses. So the judge is watching you. And it's very hard to watch somebody's eyes when they're wearing sunglasses. So I don't have a problem with police doing that. And I will say, unless those are prescription that you really need to keep on, I would prefer that you remove your sign. Or say, but the police seem to operate on the premises. I think it's about the dignity of the occasion, but nowadays it's a very common thing now.
Faamasinoga, leo, e faaiuga, faaiuga matou, o le maliu lea, e le tatau lava ona lipotia se me tasi lava, se i vamana o aia susuenga ma mai request, o le faaiuga foi. Ona la asisila iai ke ona e taua, e le tamaina aore kuwai nasa. Ole ona foi na lea la iona matou a bea le social media. Maona afiama. Ona la ole upu ai ave lunga e reports. Ya watato wasila fia uma tato lo tato watu. E fatu kwa le ale tala le o lesia. Wa yai foi tanga le leina le fateta ino le case ale tuwa. Ile leina le. La go mo lia wato ya faina istamata ona o mela wa ile mtapula. Ale winga o la tala mata mo fia o lo finangano e tawo na debate le issue ya. Ina ia wawe la poloka, whaamuta whasanlaua, se whaatali i whainua. E lai fo si tangata hurt, ile awala atu le case lea. Moi mātou ia, ma le Faamasinoga foi ma leo leo.
Moni a Samoa, o le situ, o le ungi o whaaitari o whaiu, the inquest. I mean, it takes years, and that's not acceptable, right? E moni la. Ungi o whaatari si whaiu, e kele foi mawhiki ana e rea mai manatu, no? Moni Samoa, o le ero whaia, ero whaia whaiu sina, la kutu la whono ia. That's it. So, se la asiam la sanga o tau. You're out of time. And you haven't even heard from my colleague who I don't know if Jazz wants to add anything to what I've said, but Makaya sih pakai sih buat mereka vaksin ya. Kalau mau aja masa berkuali kita ya percaya.
Eu estou mamando muito para ir lá para tu ya ada tu mai sia ia esse wa polisi. Wa mamando na e mamando pa. Sei lá faz essa parte lá. I just want to stress the importance of your role. You are our voice. We are only heard in court. But when he goes out there, you are our voice. Not for the benefit of the senior members, but just for the young ones, the upcoming journalists. O ile faapmasinoga faaitumalo, e tāua le afioga ia suma ia vui. O le volume of cases. Au I foi, tō tele o tātou tangata e anga ina ia. Ia lava ia e kore the People's Court. Ona e tā tangata ka whaita. People in the rural areas. Ona e tangata foi. E reise se e leni. Nara fio mai e fio loa po le ala whai unga faapmasinoga. Al faapmasinoga foi. O whakpena foi o ni tau ni kao e tui nā tu lawa le teimu na. E le ma whai o na to e tu watu tua. O le teimu le dei o le volume. And final now is full-fit sentences in Yasu. Tulanga na huya. No wanga i tulanga niya. Le tāua o le whakaktia ina o the media guidelines. I miss a lot of it, se kama mama, te mafu anga alai ni whasai. And I would like to talk about the human element that applies to all of us. People who come to court, and I will just say this, women and girls who come to court, especially women, it's not because this is the first time it has happened. It is because they have finally found the courage to actually go through the process. They have considered it so many times, but every time they look at their children's eyes, every time they consider their situation, they are resigned to the fact that they are sacrificial lambs for the sake of everyone. So, trying to regather herself, they take me now, they take me taua. When therefore you're not urgent site applications here, ma fire now, they take me now. So tell you not to lawyer. The tone of the district court, but therefore in my family court. I'll bet I will go or my faapmasinoga. Well, they see that scenario there, we're up there now, my tawin. So tell you, listen to it involve my family members. I in a poto. Miss I not lands in Charles Court, or my buma. Sa ilisi me ina ia, o isi tani sa ilisi me ia fakte now, the 2 years set with that much to win, I all sa fakte now, na e la go. But I will not have I will faapmasinoga, they must tell a thing, I will follow me. Ele ma faina ona whapena, o tui nā tu lea wanoa. E whapena o tui whalau tele ai, ma whaai loa ai, le tūlanga o lo iai ia ma tā upo. Ai sea, o tātou te pui fo, tātou te wapa ai foi. O le a tonu lama le mea o lotu, le ngā luenga nā faapmasinoga, ilo oma, tangi o lo mai. Pe mata no whapena tu ina mai I se ananga ina ia whapena na tau whia. O se ananga I whapena na ea le olo ia. Te mafu ana tonu na. O lao tō ngā luenga lo whatinu. I le tuina atu leo whaamtana. I e tātou mana tua. O le teini le sāwan tangata lea. O le teini lea wa maua le mana si anga I ma whai ai o nā mai ta o kuruma I faapmasinoga. Ora winga le unga faapmasinoga I tui nātu ma reportina. O la whapena, o na iai, I le record le. O le sila mea e whapena, me tu e whamanatu ai tātou. E le ngata I mo le tangata lea. Uma na batu whai unga faapmasinoga, uma na reportina, o uma le tusi o mai. We move on to the next case. They have to live up the reality. Lewa uma na whai lana whai unga e ala reporting. Lewa uma na whai atu, o le ala mana whai unga faapmasinoga. It's something that she has to live with. O le papa aina faapmasinoga pe ang Samoa ai le fionga ia. E papa aina faapmasinoga I le mai. And even though the children are not there, we take them. We take their views into consideration. They are the voices. For ila tusa itaua. Itaua for ila tusa ita. E baba ai faammasinoga o fea lana no for le fana. O lana me o tupu ya lato. O fea lana wale tinalia pea mai atu mata upule. O a fea la. Le mea tonu na le taua ya la tusa. O la auto ripoti ina le mata upule. That is a life record. Word has the power of life and death. You have it. Because you are the voice for the cause. Ta no way you have to fight that man.
Is it just a coping of
Or they have a duty to prosecute if it's physical and sexual, then they have a duty to lay charges against the person. I think that they're not all not faammasinoga. Eu te vou recommend for you, if tatia pe faammasinoga. Ona ye pe ona faiatu ye mata upu fo ile fatino ina tondo ai family members e ono faonga ina ai proceedings fo ile e fate na ai ona obviously, there's different motives where protection orders are used as weapons rather than a shield. Tulanga la papenai, tamsangai, tuina mate kuma faammasinoga and faaiuga faile, iloiloga faammasinoga. Pe mate genuine pele, I mesela me sa upuia involve my eye.
I think you stop orders or the protection orders.
Namun boleh nama untuk sini oleh ala ngai mai lebih tahu punya slightly, but oleh tulangan dia backly. I always go and check backly. But it seems like the Supreme Court oleh faaiuga to somehow say mafu ang lo to to why any cases even more backly lalo oleh district court.
Say Laura right now with David and right now like we're having problems also with our recording. I would say Laura don't fight I would say on holiday. But now don't fight upload this your for the information that I know. Now on a tele on that deliver right there and then. But the district court, let's say the Supreme, they're on the Samoa because of the body. We try to deliver it right there and then. They la so inale mayali pata. They la alama they la yo foi sabai. Akamela so ina mayasa. Alela manawe al umalapa in Fabia. Elisa time before because we go to Sabai twice. Elisa time for the family no maya let them fight right, because all of them are unrepresented. Power make you follow maya or leala faaiuga. Leala for so we always try to or maybe to see them yamato some fight deliver right there and then orally. Faila yese tulanga for ile nam fight it pinangalo tulanga I faaiuga but obey on tele la mato sa orally. I would say no, say si for ile tulanga se some fire to yai. Yan faammasinoga faaitumalo e tampai upload visio nai faaiuga ina ia faapena sila fia I fo'i ia tulaga mai ai nai faaiuga I ina faammasinoga faaitumalo.
So if you do make an oral decision, who takes notes? I'm talking about the court, the registrar, and make records of that decision to make sure the court has a record of that decision which was delivered verbally.
A Yagamato template.
Okay.
So it has all the charges, it has the summary of the thing, it has aggravated, mitigating, so we have that template. We developed this template for you so that you can follow it because when prosecution, even though I'm representing prosecution. So we try to go through this template.
I think the reason why I asked the question is when the media sometimes, or case there for example, but we found out from someone in court Ako misi yun ma maya yun case yun fai case wala na it's interest of the public to report alela mo kiri ba bebo alela ke mga okay po dina ke access ke go base this is
Yeah.
It's a very difficult. I'll share with you something that we're looking at, because now they have machines in some courts, in some countries, where as you speak, it automatically transcribes. And we're now looking at trying to find some funding. The ministry is looking at trying to find some funding. If we can replace our machines with that, then we will do away with a lot of, not only physically, but it will. You don't need somebody to sit there and transcribe it all. It will be a really good cost saving, and then it's just a matter of correct. Why a whole machine? Judge still has to correct, but then it will be like accessible to us, accessible to the public, accessible to the press. That's a development that we're really trying to push for next year. If not in the budget, then see if we can persuade a donor.
Family court and the youth court, because of quota here in SETV. But on fact, so faapitoa ele fai na position bine kumi na kanga kaungo ye kiti ai goal mo pesi it's a case which is kibaya for the interesting on the case. How can that be reported, or we still cannot report?
Well, the family violence court, one family court, is a mayor. Well, family court here, that to say any line and all to laugh on a family court protection order, protection orders now. I follow ya for the German prohibition for the publishing on Taku family court, take one and I awalani some finder, I anonymous for there. Any reference to have to there, why here for there. On a fire there, on a tool, but so long as they say identification, what's a matter here, I more protection order sire, it's on fire, it's on fire, but sometimes also in the interest of justice, in some way, my foot there, but it's on fire, I want to identify it's a fire later to
the family court, the sexual violation case in fire. And I suppress Makamaki involved by the but allow the judge here in media for the cover file. This is not a hearing, but the file the identity of Kabukia or but sometimes they will bring a file.
It can be done. It can be done. The lawyer in that for you. Alicia may for you fight to take for your Lamani, or is taking your life to like I to Spain and for their house. Or Bawala maybe to see them down or more proceedings here. You just deliver right there and then. The most important thing is total protection, or whether to grant it or not. It's not so much of any lengthy, all you need to do is be satisfied on the balance of probability. And so long as there's sufficient evidence, there's no need for you to go to a full trial to decide whether or not, because the evidence is right there and then. So it's just a matter of saying, we are going to issue a protection order right now. I say, fact, until the investigation say complete. So there's no need to go to a lengthy trial. For sufficient evidence. Well, let's not there for it. So it's so important to issue right there and then. A continual investigation.
What's your advice in cases with sexual cases? Where you can be Massaina, Samoa, a reporter, or fair level media. Kala Kamaki way underage, or involved in a sexual case. Because we have the code that any child under the age of 18, what identity? But what's your advice as a judge to us? Or of such story? Why didn't you use when I the court? I be a medicine way. But we call it a car. They will make money for keep it better. You nunca ouviu que deu meu, ela mudou a mídia, ela ouviu do pouquinho. Aqui eu quando vai virar passar mais com. Eu already out to the
I think what is managed on a family, what is here. Ole imprisonment term ile faammasinoga faaiuga, it's 7 years. So we don't deal with the sexual cases. Now protection orders we deal with. So we don't have a lengthy trial. Tell us my protection order that there is this child, there's sufficient evidence for yet to langa there, issue long protection order. I sexual violation to langa like I do a supreme. But our job is to make sure the protection order as soon as possible. So without if I live, I find at the earliest opportunity what my do my faammasinoga. The issue of the interim protection order.
Does that protection order covers the media as well?
The interim protection order.
Yes. When they releasing us information about such incidents like they like
well, interim protection order is only for the benefit of Tanatale. So it's Tanatale find us through the police. Issue and mato. Abelola yele. Eolo abese polatula Tanatale. Now, my Lola Yale find a hearing, and yes, it covers the media also. If I found that on a published Umaya to Langalia, find all a hearing, like I said, all a hearing is just to find out. Most of the time they complete the investigation, but there is sufficient evidence. So therefore, it's not on the beyond reasonable doubt, it's on the balance of probability. So long as we're satisfied, or there's some physical abuse in that, we issue it right there and then. Because it takes time for them to go through the investigation, but at least within a few days after the incident, when the protection order for the benefit of the person or the applicant. And also mind you also that this person, especially for a child, a complaint, somebody else can bring the complaint. Not necessarily the child. So as soon as they file that up, there's flexibility, right? Because the main aim is to protect those who file protection orders so that they can get this help within, we're hoping, 24 hours. You're too long.
Thank you.
And don't forget, protection orders are interim. It's an interim measure. But a very necessary interim measure will be we hope.
And with that, we wrap up this session. We extend our gratitude, but also our sincere apologies for taking up more of your time as expected. I humbly ask our media participants to be upstanding. We now will be conducting a few words of thanks first, and then we'll take our group photo. Thank you.
Yeah. Por